All right, so we're gonna do this pretty quickly. This week has been, if you go look at the weekly, pretty in range, right? We bounced off of right around the 50% mark of that candle, but we're still holding. On the 24-hour, we've remained obviously underneath this candle open here at 465, and we have maintained price pretty much exactly where we are at now, right? On a lower time frame, we've identified that there is empty space to the downside. And while we sit and flirt with this support or support slash previous resistance, right, and move down into the lower time frames, right, we can see that's where we've been hanging out. So this is left price action with, I think, the market's bated breath. You're sitting and you are uh, deliberating on the direction of things, and I think that the end result is they probably know which direction this is going to head, and inevitably, right, even if it means something is filled up, we fill down here. That I feel extremely confident about, but obviously I'm not trading confidence. I'm trading the setup first. And when we close underneath 440, we get close to it, I'm all for it. But we are in what most people would say is an area of anticipation or um, waiting for the next market moving candle, because we've had some pretty crazy whiplash, breakdowns from 460 all the way to 400, so $60 losses, and then rips from 410 to 465, so $60 rips. So having a little bit of tension, just like we did here, is going to set next week up, a full week up, I think, to be pretty good. But with that being said, the Q's not giving us a signal, right? That's just the reality. There is, I think we don't want to pull too much from the little bit that we're seeing right now, right? Because we just have this stupid little candle here that's trying, and this is the floor that we lost, and that is the floor we must reclaim, and that's what we've been struggling or retesting. So between now and the end of the day, I'm hoping to see. Second, if you lost it, it's all right. If you used good risk and you got out, I didn't try again at all. So, if you got stopped out, I did. I think a lot of people did. Next week, try it again. With this system and the way that we're looking at the market now, right? We have signals above and below, and there's money to be made on both sides of that. So one of my favorite things about this setup right now is that it is building for a lengthy move, and I don't give a shit if it goes up. But if it's up, we have a signal to do that, right? We have an overhead to break. And then downside, if, we false break out or pop back up and fill the, retap the gap and then break back down for the third time, I'm all in. So patience, because, what we could make potentially in one day or 2 days could be what most people make in 2 months of fucking trading, or a year. But anyway, that being said, like I said, we are pushing off as we speak down. So we need a couple of things to break here on the lower time frame. That 442, that's your imbalance mark. Same thing over here. So if we can get below that, maybe the signal changes. But that's about it for the Qs. So IWM, this one hasn't really changed too much. Again, another stock. Now this one's trying to close more green and closer to resistance, but it has remained, in the last, I'd say, 4 days. So Monday will mark our 5th day where we have a target overhead on the 24-hour, and I'm not gonna lie, it looks fucking juicy to the upside. Like IWM could see a lead rip. Now again, you decide whether or not, if today was just a brush or a bump on the shoulder, then feel free to speculate however you wish. But that is inevitably above 191 on the 24-hour time frame, which it still makes for a pretty good target. But I'm looking all the way up here, right? 195, maybe squeezing up into the 198s. So, yeah. So anyway, that's IWM. Lower time frame. It is pretty structural. It did bounce down today, and if you move down into the hourly, we stayed above. So tomorrow, right, we at least have good boundaries as to where this is the 30-minute, mind you, but we have good boundaries set. 182.80, cost basis 181, and then unfortunately you will have a 177 wick to go and deal with. But same thing to the upside, you have a remaining gap. So over, this is a play that you could set up, over the weekend, 188 into that gap, and then the channel says maybe 196, right? And that actually lines up. And we talked about this shit, and I'm kicking myself because I could have done better at anticipating this, but we talked about staying in between these two ranges to build and then break. So if there's anything that I'd prefer to speculate on, it'd be that. Because it's highly confluential to the downside or to the upside. Now, unfortunately, it's not very advantageous to the downside, which is what I was trying to say while I was saying that other sentence. But if we can break down right through this box, yeah, we still have a remaining target of 175, and that's still in play. But it's just not as, not as confluential. Again, it is confluential. I mean, it's there. So IWM, I like the tension. I like it going into next week. Now, again, because there is no, and we're watching here, but because there is no break, you are left with not a terrible, but a speculative position. And if you can find a good price up at the 196, you could probably play with the 197 and 198s. And that would, in my opinion, granted, we don't have a Monday chop and then go into Tuesday with a rip. That's expiration wise. I'm not looking at the chain right now, but we'll come back to that. So I actually put that over here. All right, so that's about it. Today we were watching CVX. So I want to briefly go over that now. I don't really think this is much to worry about. This is healthy trend. And again, we are still above some of the areas. One of the more important areas is obviously right around 138. If that breaks down, worst case scenario, 137, and a gap fill at 135, right? And that would obviously be, so you have two signals, I suppose. Coco just busted open my door and then just walked away. Well, anyway, you have a two triggers, right, to fall. So I see, and this is something you can either hedge for or just hold if you have a great or a good expiration. But I see a box that inevitably will likely get broken out from. So a healthy trend, yeah, maybe we could come back down here and bounce. But if we could tolerate even a pullback here, right, that might set you up to keep moving. So it still looks good. But I would say 135 hedges, just in case. I don't know about that. I don't know. I'm not looking at the contracts. You got to make that decision. So what's going on? I'll take a look at the CVX. Actually, fuck it. I'll just do it right now. I was gonna come back to it, but
the hedges look crazy. You'd have to go to like really far out. Could you hedge with the Qs?
No.
No.
Wait, why couldn't you? 135s or 90? Okay, so 130s. Next week, 8 days out. Brother, why do you call me at the worst times?
I guess it's like totally different.
I mean, my thought is if you just consolidated from the beginning of April to obviously now, so a couple of days, that yeah, sure you come back and retest, but if you break down, right, and these conditions, if you're going to go down, you're gonna go up first. So which a lot of the times, like, you'll see something try to pop out from a box it's building, and then use that box to shit the bed, right, through a punch back down. So you could hedge with that anticipation and use 132 or 130s, because those would be relevant to that price target. But here's what you can't do, because the premium is inflated, is you can't just let them run, right? You have to have, like, for example, because the way you're pulling back right now and how empty that is, you would have to go ahead and say above here, or obviously if we somehow gapped back up above there, you gotta get out of that. But that's a tricky situation, because you really don't have a straightforward hedge. You have to kind of stretch. So it might be better just to skedaddle when the breakdown happens, or lightly hedge. So a couple contracts, stop loss, boom, you dip. I wanted to trade so bad today, and I am proud of myself for resisting. Good job. I got itchy fingers today and lost a lot. Don't let this lesson pass. And I know it's cliche to say write down, or even just think about it, like visualize that. But man, yeah, today was, I had to step away. I started working on the new workshop shit. Well, it's not been working on it so long, it's fucking old. But yeah, but shit weeks, dude, end up turning into areas to break out from. So it's not the worst thing in the world. But yeah, I stepped away, played a game, worked on the workshop, fed the chickens, hung out with Peyton, ate lunch, just tried not to, just set my alerts and kind of chilled, because this was the vibe the entire week. So I thought maybe we get a break today. I thought wrong. All right. So anyway, yeah, you could actually, whiskey, that's a good idea. Thank you. Yeah, that is a good idea. You could use XLE. Appreciate you, man. All right. So if you have anything you would like for me to take a look at, I'll try to do that as quickly as possible, thoroughly as possible. Boom, bada bing. Let's do it now. SoFi, put it in the chat bubble. That's not SoFi. That's SoFufa. 24-hour time frame. So a good start to potentially head up to what looks like right around 1120, but be more accurate here. Oop, itchy. Bam. Right. So a couple of things need to happen first, and it looks like you might be able to accomplish that. Let's zoom in again. Okay, so clearly there's something here, right? And that's where the candle closes, the candle wicks, and that's what defines, for those of you guys learning the Potter box, resistance or points of control, or the top of the box, right? That's how that's built. Candle close, wick, all the same price. So clearly a 2-hour candle close outside of 1105 is how you get up and out. Let me take a quick look at the weekly real quick. Yeah, the weekly is not really describing any sort of immediate move. It looks like it tried to rip back up and then just lost momentum. You don't have anything structural to go off of, right? You have a wick already going up, and 1205 would be the target on a successful push back up. But this is okay. So whatever move the market is about to make, we're going to do it all together, which, yes, I'm sorry to break off of here, but like everything from Microsoft or Tesla or fucking the Q, I mean, obviously the Q, they all look the same, right? There's a couple variables that don't, but whenever I see that, right? Because you'll have a sector and it might be chopping, and this sector's doing this, and this sector's doing this. All sectors, for the most part, are building something unilaterally. It's happening across the board. And when I see that, what's up, CVX? When I see that, it obviously makes me. Well, that was a good time to hedge if you did. That makes me think that, yeah, there's a big move coming. Now, in this environment, yes, we could still see a rip up to touch something, but in this environment, with the 1-2, and this is where, if you're looking at it from a seller's standpoint, right, maybe Monday, you tap, gap, fill, and get retraced back under. So, again, there's a move coming, and it's maybe even worth speculating on over the weekend, but it's all happening all at once. So anyway, with that being said, yeah, that's where you need to break over 1124. You're building a box now, right, that looks like this, which is also sitting underneath this bad boy, right, where you bounced off of cost basis. So 1040 is your signal down, and that's 790 to the downside. To the upside, right, you have the obvious gap fill here at 1143, and then it would be realistically, I think you blow past that gap and you go and you tap 1162, which is the floor of a box that you actually punched down through itself, right? So we would still need 1164 reclaim, and I'd be looking at that $12 break to move higher, which, you know, again, read and react. You'd actually holding pretty well here at the end of the day. Yeah, average fair value gap taker, dude. I mean, day trading is an incredibly hard thing to maintain. That's why that's not how I define myself. I mostly am a short-term swing trader, right? An option manipulator, whatever you want to call it. An option schemer. I don't know. But yeah, you're gonna have days like this. If you're using good risk to reward, this is just a part. This will happen. It's gonna happen again. You're gonna lose money again. It's really up to you on how you manage your risks. So, all right. So that's SoFi, and you have ER. So, you know, we'll see if that 1162 gets tapped. But interesting setup. Good tension on a lower time frame. Mara. Yikes. 24. Yikes. Weekly. Worse. But still holding this floor. So you see how fucking important that $12 mark is for Mara? Extremely. Right? Now, what it's pushing off of is mysterious. Right? We really can't see that. So go to the 24-hour here. It's really hard to. This actually is bizarre price action. Even for me, this is weird. And the reason that I'm saying that is because you grind back up, right? You have these crazy pops, pop, gap down, rip up, rip down, move up, crazy grind. You don't build any solid structure, so I focus on like where candle closes are, and you have like 1530 here, right? Clearly is that wall. So at the moment, right, I'd have to probably move down and look at what is nearest to me, right? And that's where this should clear things up a bit. Okay. So Mara in its perfect box there, and its perfect box here, has a $13 even cost basis. It has a lower time frame downtrend, like that. And so I would be looking to see how you respond and even move into cost basis. And that actually has a little bit of empty space up there. So $13, target. If you can reject that, then perhaps that's where that downside play comes into play, because you are building a box that you could punch through at 1240. But on the flip side, if you can break and punch through that $13 mark, I would be aiming for 1362 and 1380 directly up above. Now, if this could start moving a little bit faster, right? It's a good example of why you do not use trend lines for trades. Right? Trend line traders can get whacked. You use the structure up above, and you can see it fails every single time to get to that floor. So yeah, 1362 on the upside. 1173 down. Oh wait, hold on, no. 1175. You'll see this right here, the top of this like weird range. And in my opinion, that gets you down to 1070. But it's all part of a this is where shit gets complex, but right. So you could actually see dumb shit like that. Seth, he said, "Where's little Jorge at?" That's crazy, dude. You can't talk about my man like that, dude.
Nah, that's crazy. You read that. Fuck him, bro. I know him. That's my boy. That's crazy.
Shut up, bro.
My man.
Diabolical Seth. All right, Seth.
You one of the ones that tied you to a tree that time?
Oh my god.
Nah, bro.
All right,
Jesus
hold on. This
Christ,
is going
you
on YouTube, brother. All right, so yeah, first of all, you went up and you tapped 85.90, but it does break down to the 2 hour. Now, let's see, my box is all weird. Doesn't matter. So I think right, and this is again going back to something that will be in the workshop, but it's possible, right, that you're going to, and it doesn't mean that your punchback has failed by any means, but that you could do something like this, right, and then get out, because you have, I mean, that is a great fucking trade that could potentially happen here, especially over that wall. So if you just are winding up because the rip is on Monday or Tuesday, I don't think this is over with. The worst case scenario is you lose 83.77 and you move back down to 82. So, all right. Let's see here. Netflix earnings after close. Is it Netflix? Oh, it's today. I thought it was. I stand by what I said yesterday. You got to get over $1,000. Then you would have 1,025, and I'm using this range. I can see it from here. Basically over 1046. That's and if the contracts are super duper inflated, you would have to get a move that way. But at the same time, it's hard to look down. It's hard to look down. Okay, there. That's actually where it makes the most sense down, right? 1, 2, 3. I would assume, and I'm using the strongest levels that the chart has to, well, some of the, I guess the monthly could be stronger here. But if you lost 920, I think you would be in for probably an imbalance 870, 850, or 875. But yeah. Let's see here. AMD weekly looking right, yeah, sitting right around that imbalance. Same setup as everything else again, right? This one seems like it might be kind of leading though, a little bit, right? But inevitably you'd have to break down below its nearest to 85.38, right? The hourly is actually pretty secure right? I mean, you have a box like fighting for that, and then you're just hanging onto this floor right now. But the leg down, looking at a channel 2 as well, is right around 8160 or maybe 82, with a breakdown below that reaching 7950. I think in this scenario, right, it does offer maybe the potential to hedge well, but you basically have a box on the floor, 1, 2. So overnight price action gapping down would actually make for a pretty hard open, actually, because then you would probably go up, fail that gap fill, down, grind down, and then bounce back up to fill that gap at the end of the day. Maybe ripping up, but you do have empty space up above you, and like everything else, right? There's a box leading us over that nearest resistance. It's got a target nearest to us $100. So, yeah, it'd be kind of nice to see something actually break by the end of the day, but that's not going to happen, I don't think. Over the weekend, something's big is and honestly, we're in those conditions where, yeah. SOXL. Yeah. Watching on my other screen here. All right. Crazy ass dog. All right, SOXL again. I feel like I'm disappointing people when I tell you that it's like you're in range and you don't really have a signal. It like sucks, because like, yeah, you still might be playing the waiting game here, but you have a perfect signal and bounce at that 835, and you've built, like everything else, a box above. The gap above us, definitely has me feeling some type of way, because one shot, you shoot bears in the heart right now in these conditions. That's where you're going to see that strong, money squeeze up. The channels failed and maybe that's what we have look forward to on these other charts. But with that being said, it's best to rely on those levels. So you have a floor of above you to go and recover. That's $10 right there. Cost base is 1060, and that could get you, or should get you, up and out, or obviously here down 7 and 8, 15. DLTR 24. That's the first green candle close. That's the first green candle close. Well, fuck a duck. Hold on.
That's a rippy.
It's a rippy. That's a weekly setup. 86 and then 91. DLTR. Interesting. So probably have 22 days. But the spread just fucking disintegrates. It almost forces you to go closer to the money. You could go next week and just try and play as close as possible at like 85. Or 87. 87. It's like, I mean, it's not unreasonable to see another weekly green candle like that. Sorry, I'm like debating with myself right now. I'm a master of self-debater. Hey.
50% of that red candle.
Yeah.
Yeah, see?
81. Let's see. Yeah, 85. So, yeah, the spread even on 8 days away is fucking diabolical. Let me see what market. Let me see what I get on market fill. We'll try to split the difference. 5 minutes here. It's an interesting setup for sure. See, 4 bounces off of the floor. Multiple wicks. This is the first time that you're closing green, meaning buyers, or maybe, I don't know, Dollar Tree might be a safe place to go. 46. Yeah, you're going to have to play with the spread a little bit. Pause. Jesus Christ, this spread's 85s. 85s, and you know, if you honestly, this is kind of one of those situations where if you can just go further out in expiration and just maybe you just buy less, but if you have the money to put into that and you can manage a longer expiration position, that's where that shorter expiration mindset can, you know, doesn't have to be as relevant. You can buy that within, you know, closer to the money and with, you know, at least 25 days of expiration, and just manage your risk. Just have a stop loss. That stop loss would more than likely be, I would say, 77.60 is where I would draw the line, and then just look for a re-entry. I mean, you're right at the hourly wall, but that weekly candle is something else. So if you can't get it, don't compromise. Don't stretch out because you think this is, I mean, if you absolutely cannot, don't. I'm just trying to serve that. I know there's somebody out there who needs to hear that. Like, if it's too much and you can only buy one contract, you're gonna fucking regret it if it doesn't work out. Or you might regret it because, you know, maybe it only goes up 150% and you don't make that much. So, you know, just you know whether that applies to you or not. All right, Bobby, thanks for the squirrels, dude. You said Dollar General has a better spread? Yeah, well, we only have about 2 weekly. That one has a target of 102. Hold on for about a speed rush. If I just play Dollar General down and then, no, I'm just kidding. 102. Yeah, it does. There's no volume going 22 days out. Yeah, there'll be a fucking volume going into them when people buy them, but 15 days. Shit. Might not be able to make this one. Let's see, market fill on the 102s. Brought the spread down, there's no. Thanks for straightening the spread out, dorks. I was instantly down 50%. Amazing. Okay, never mind. All right. Well, not terrible. Not going crazy on it though. We can still take a 96 break on that. The weekly is really where, you know, I mean, honestly, I prefer DLTR. I am gonna keep this channel here, and I am gonna watch how we perform at 81. It's an oil and gas strong support CVX of. Yeah, another high consolidation area. You do have a gap underneath you. It's always a little spooky, but it's basically over 190. No, there's no discount for the workshop. You said Tesla down 200 for earnings. That's going to be a hard one to spin. Dude's pleading with the president. What is that on Monday?
Is that all?
It's Wednesday.
It's always on Wednesday. Literally, it's always on Wednesday.
I mean the premium, they're pretty expensive, and I didn't look at that before I put it in there, so I apologize.
It's okay. I mean, is it crazy? Crazy?
They're like 180.
Oh shit! Look at this, guys. Look what this week did. It nearly solidified your resistance of 264, which you've held before. And what happens when you lose this floor? It's not even a fucking movie.
We die.
We die. That's right. We die. We die as all things do. Hopefully Tesla does. But what if they got bought by Ford? Build Tesla tough.
What if Elon fakes his death?
Be cool too. Man, that's just too fucking perfect. Man, I tell you what.
Yeah, I was low key thinking about some 200s, but
I mean, I'm looking farther than fucking 200, dude. I'm like staring here. Because I can't, there's nothing, like, okay, so here's my thoughts. That's where we're bouncing. And this is a harder setup. I mean, I'm looking at the most recent price action, but I'm looking at what's held across the board. So just like unilaterally 260, 255, 264 is like a, strong wall. Like that's the line. And I see that line here. Now you make a quick recovery off of an imbalance, and then you have to build, and then you rip. But you rip off of this floor. So this, right, has also been this floor and that resistance. And I look at, well, what happens if you fall there? Same result. So I think 161.
isn't he supposed to leave Doge soon?
Yeah, that's where the upside of this comes in, and you'd be looking at the empty space above, and 50% of it's 325. So I don't see what you see with these resistance lines. Like across, you don't see this. Does everybody see this? Am I like tripping balls? Like across the board, right? From here, 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 here. And then we can see that that's where we're being held underneath now. And when that shows that sellers are, and now, yeah, if sellers don't win here, they're going to lose in a pretty big way. But I don't know. Maybe you get an earnings dump and then a fucking Elon leaving Doge pump.
I can see that.
Yeah. GEV. ER pre-market. What the fuck is this? So that's another one, right? Now it hasn't quite gone to that 357, but that could happen on earnings, right? Pop up, hit that 348, 24 hour. Well, apparently I've charted it before. That's definitely not a box, jackass. That was a box, though. Really a bump in the road. So the weekly, but then the 24 hours showing the same thing. I mean, I think it's inevitable. It looks like you're going to go and tap 350 right above that. You have this floor. That's why you're tapping that. And cost basis is 371. Then a gap up there. So, I mean, there's actually, it's not the worst, as far as tension is concerned. Yeah, definitely. I don't know what those contracts look like, but, it's got a lot of tension for sure. feel like you might see it up in here. You know, break, pop down, pull back up, rip over. Yeah, I mean, maybe 425. What's up, D Griff? Dot dot dot. Let's see here. Yeah, we did that one. Nike. Yeah, I heard you guys talking about Nike. You made a mistake. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Let's see. So obviously in range. I'm gonna assume that you guys are looking to take it here. That would be my assumption. No, it's like you got a smooth. I
Oh,
can
shit, when
certainly.
the Netflix report.
Yeah.
I think the numbers are coming out right now.
Netflix numbers are already out. It's like nothing.
Bullshit.
Imagine that.
I think they're gonna let
It's
somebody.
first
win.
quarter they're not reporting on subscribers. They beat the numbers and have good guidance.
Interesting. They do have good guidance.
Yeah, they're expecting to beat the estimates a little bit. But again, I think because now is the first time they're not reporting subscribers, people are like, okay.
What an interesting setup on Nike. It's a good one. You know, maybe I try and hop in on this one with you guys. You know, again, this is not your traditional box. So are you supposed to be, did you get this from school? Why you found 31 eggs? Did you push kids over to steal their eggs? Oh, pretty high number. There you go. All right, close my door, baby.
Daddy.
Yeah, I really work from home. Anyway, so yeah, I would be looking over 5650. Not a bad close. Hopefully a gap up, and then a move to 5760, and that's where you're gonna have to, yeah, make moves. Gap fill. The potential here is pretty strong though, right? You'd have a first target all the way over here at 60, right? And then, I mean, who knows with the right fucking momentum. But wow, what an area of consolidation. I mean, yeah. All right, Citigroup down. Again, another one sitting in, what'd you, God, you are pinned in, bouncing right there. Why I started on the hourly. So I mean, again, same analysis. You're in range. You have a candle close at 64.31. You know, maybe you're released 4 hour. Yeah, the box and everything stands. So maybe next week we get a move up first to 65, and you do have empty space above you. Jesus, that's a lot of lines. So I would be looking at it like that. Now, this is a lower time frame box inside of it, and that's where you would actually see a move down. So I don't know, maybe maybe this one goes and hits, rips up, fills up that empty space, has the potential to go to 71, but the first target would be right around there. All right, Citigroup. Ouch. Cool. What's good, Cam? Yeah, Netflix is grinding up here. I think might be on track to go there. All right. Can I anybody else want me to take a look at anything?
Have a good weekend.
Don't
I'm
tell
outta
me
here.
what- Don't tell me what to do. All right, I'm just kidding. So listen, this week I just want to take a moment to reflect. Especially those of you who maybe got caught day trading too much. I mean, I caught some L's. Yeah, I caught some W's, but I got some L's for sure. This was where we were at the entire week, and lower time frame setups kind of were hinting at potential breakdowns, but this is a good time to look at your P&L and then look at the chart and correlate. Chop, right? So if you do get banged up or you do hit a bad trade, or not even a bad trade, right? Because there's a difference between getting stopped out and a bad trade. Stopping out and you do what you're supposed to, like if you can walk away, and that's what I said earlier. If it's in this range, I'm done. I'm not going to participate, because I need that higher time frame break. So for those of you guys who, again, struggled this week, it's par for the course. We can see it right in front of us. So if we want to make money, we need this range to break. Period. End of story. And it's worth waiting for. So we've put a lot of tension into this week. We got a 3-day fucking weekend. So make sure you guys relax. Don't look at the charts and shit until Sunday. Unless you're on some hero's journey with trading right now. But enjoy yourselves. And next week, let's see if we can get this tension break. And preparation on Sunday is essential. I don't know, Jorge, are you doing any Sunday stuff? I'm going to take that as a no. If a beginner was to write down a list of rules and abide by them for every single trade, what would you suggest? All of the rules. Is that what you're asking? All of the rules? I mean, that's a long list, right? And it can actually vary from person to person. Some people can day trade, some people can't, right? So I would say stick to a system and stick to a way of trading. If you choose day trading and it just is not working and it's taking forever and you're not even catching hardly any wins, take a suggestion from the universe and back off. Obviously as a beginner, I personally would not be here if I hadn't stopped day trading, stopped scalping, and focused on the higher time frame setups. And when I did that and I swung, I saw success, and it allowed me to make big leaps forward. And if I did take any fallback, it was because of or if I did lose, it was a small tick back. But know when to walk away. Off the top of my head, there's so many. I don't know if I can just read them all up. Thank you. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'll write it. I'll write. I mean, I'm literally doing that right now. I'm not gonna show you everything, but I'm in the middle of building, so a little sneak peek there. You can't see anything. It's all closed up. Oh, there goes Netflix. See if it goes and hits that 1025. Can I look at data or DD dog? Yeah. But don't take it too hard. This is the game, right? It's not even a game. It's just part of the job. You have a job, and we were using that metaphor, earlier. Even when you have a job, shit's not going to go well. Yeah, and I think everybody can relate to that. You know, there's going to be shit days, there's going to be good days. How you respond to those, right? You got crash out dummies who will crash out at work. I'm not going to lie. I've been that person before. Not at other people, but I would just quit, and I would do it in a louder fashion than probably necessary. But yeah, you know, if you're prone to crashing out, you know, that's going to affect your trading for sure. But what was yeah, no problem, dude. Do you swing SPY options? I don't really trade SPY very often, man. It's usually the Qs or IWM. But anyway, real quick, Datadog, like everything else, is in a heavy area of consolidation, which just, you know, goes to show the channel seems like it's breaking down, and you have that empty space underneath you on the lower time frame. You know, I can see it without even going down here, but you have a target right here of 88.40. And then, like everything else, there's a box below you. And that's where we are going to speculate on whether we bounce, break back up, and rip, or if we see more downside. So, yeah, no problem. But anyway, yeah, you know, you got a job and shit doesn't go well. How you respond to that, you know? Someone gets in a fight, you get involved, now your day's fucked up. If you just watch them fight from afar, which is, you know, my metaphor for chop, you don't get beat up and you keep your job. That's actually a pretty good metaphor, damn. Netflix kissed 124 right on the mouth. Did it? Yeah, it did. Look at that. Right on my Whittle Wicks. Cool. All right. I was looking downwards.
Father,
Yeah, what's up?
I have one more if you have some time.
Yeah, I have some time. What's up?
Yeah, could you take a look at MSTR as well?
Yeah. Yeah, no, let's look at IWM in that one. Let's see if I do it. At least.
MSTR looks nice to me when it comes to 24 hours.
Yeah, it's a really interesting setup, my friend. It is. So I like to draw lines in the sand in order to kind of gain some understanding of what's in front of me. So across the board, right, this wick, these wicks have served as a major resistance going back, you know, to March. And this is representative of that floor, but ultimately, you know, prices actually settled down. So you have buyers pushing semi-successfully up against that floor, but you have not settled, right? You can actually see over here, you bounce, hold, bounce, hold. So this is a really important level that you're up against, which drives me down to the 4. Now, in this case, right, we are within a small box. Underneath us, our line in the sand for downside is here, and that's actually where this box has bounced off of. That's 299, and that would likely result in some pretty gnarly price action. Now, this setup is familiar to me, and it's kind of hard to see, but you are operating the same way that everything else is. You have a channel, right? So it's really important that not only do you break, but the structure up above you and those wicks, right? So you'll have a gap filled. Well, actually, it's already been filled, 323.91, but cost basis, which is confluentially lined up with what is more than likely going to be the next 4-hour candle at 330. So if you can and do make that break, that would be what you wouldn't even just have to hit it, but actually break through it. Now on a 24-hour time frame, the setup altogether looks like this, right? And some lines in the sand you can draw here are that is ultimately one of the more important levels to break over. And then you have a sneaky little bit of empty space. It's hard to see. I've been staring at charts for too fucking long now. See that little pocket right there? This is attention to detail. That candle close You know, drive it over. Right? Give it some time. And 370 would be the potential there. But what
I mean, when this one usually pops up, it pops up like 20
does.
points. So I
You're-
was just looking at the weekly and
Yeah.
24-hour.
Yeah, you are not wrong. When it does decide to move, it moves. Now, weekly time frame actually agrees, right? Because you have all these candle closes over here, then you have the wick. So basically, and I would say on the weekly it looks better because you're bouncing off of that gap and closing green up against it. And not only that, you are, in other words, holding the floor. So the next inevitable target here regarding the weekly would be that 342, 52. So downside seems a little shaky right now. I think if that was to happen, it would likely be off of that. So it doesn't look bad, but it does. You know, it obviously chops until it rips. So you're building the tension, and you're in the space to get that potentially done. So.
Okay, thanks.
I was nervous at first, but the way you explain it makes me feel like I won't be wasting my money getting your workshop. I hope not, man. So far, I haven't heard. Some guy said he didn't like the cuss words, but other than that, pretty good reviews.
Hey Potter, for MSRT, do you think like an ideal situation would be for it to consolidate until like midweek and then pop out?
I mean, if you had another weekly candle in here, I would assume the break happens after that. So it's
Yeah,
possible,
okay.
but I think it should come because you're at resistance now. You got to make a move, and you're in the position, right? Having basically built up, and this is the 1, 2, 3 that I'm talking about. So if this fails, and this floor is lost, I think it's because again, when I'm talking about one stock, I'm not talking about just that stock anymore, because everything, in some way or another, looks the exact same to me. Right, the consolidation at resistance, the retesting, like we're the empty. Well, this one has less empty space underneath us, but you're just sitting on top of what you need to, like, again, I could just pull up the fucking cues. It's just sitting on top of what needs to break. So anyway,
Okay, see it. Thank you.
yeah. All right, y'all. Have a great weekend. Enjoy yourselves. I'll see you guys.
Potter, will you post if you're gonna go live on Sunday?
I am gonna go live on Sunday.
Okay, bet.
Yeah, we'll do it when Futures open at 6 p.m.
Yes, chef.
I just want to see where they open up at, and that'll help me guide me in my analysis. So, yep, I'll see you guys Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern time, here on on TikTok.
That's what she said.
Yeah, it's not bad. So, all right, peace out.